Hey everyone, welcome to week 4 on a beautiful, sunny Sunday afternoon. Of course, it's cloudy and rainy and all that. That's okay. It's a perfect day to watch football. Week 4 is upon us finally. Welcome to the Corner Pub NFL pregame show brought to you by Heat Ratio Sports and, of course, in conjunction with Corner Pub Sports. Heat Ratio, I can't say it enough. I just want to reflect for a second. The first few weeks here has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing the show, and I like the interactions we got going on. Doing something a little different this week. I got an extra format here so I can see other comments because I was missing comments on other pages. So I'm going to see if I can be a little more interactive this time around. But anyway, just to reflect, it's been a lot of fun with Heat Ratio. Of course, this show is brought to you by WinDailySports.com, and use the promo code HEAT to give you a Sunday discount on all your bets. So if you're new to the show, just want to introduce to you what we do here. We introduce the slate of games for Sunday and Monday, and I give you some betting advice if you want to throw a few bucks down. And, of course, intertwined with each game, I give you a little bit of fantasy advice too. Start sits, guys to look out for. I kind of shy away from the stars because it doesn't make sense to tell you to start Saquon Barkley. You know you're starting Saquon Barkley. So kind of go the middle tier guys and lower and try to give you a voice that way. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's go to game 1 of this week. We have the LA Rams taking on the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Bears are 3-point favorites. Over under is 40.5. The Bears are starting to show a little bit here. They're starting to kind of get things going. Caleb Williams is still, obviously a project. He's a rookie. No surprise there. But the thing there is, you have a situation there where now you're getting Keenan Allen back for the first time since week 1. So that should help. I think this is a good matchup for someone like DJ Moore. I think, taking on that defense there in LA is a very favorable matchup. The Rams are hurting all over the place. On the Rams side, you're probably going to be running the ball a ton. You're down a lot of receivers. So I'm just going to say this. I'm going to go with the Bears to cover the 3. I'm not confident in that because this is a kind of a tricky game. You don't know what Bears team you're going to get. And the Rams, look, Matthew Stafford has been in this league for a long time. He knows how to manage a game. So I can see him sticking around here and maybe giving his team a fighting chance here. But just for the sake of it, I'm just going to take the Bears because they're home. I kind of like them today. The next game here we got on the slate is Minnesota taking on Green Bay. Green Bay is at home, 2.5-point favorites at Lambeau, taking on the undefeated Vikings. Undefeated Vikings is weird. 44.5 is the over-under. Sam Darnold, of course, has been lighting up for the Vikings, which has been a surprise to everybody, I think, around the league. So this is a tough game also to call. But Jordan Love's coming back for the Packers. I made this pick prior to knowing that Jordan Love was coming back. I was going Green Bay anyway. Even in his absence, they still move the ball up and down the field. They're just a really good offense. I mean, all around. They're really polished. They have a lot of weapons there, and they didn't really miss too much of a beat. So I'm going to go Green Bay. Green Bay has owned the Vikings in the past. I say that continues this week. And I think if this game was in Minnesota, I would feel a little different. I'd probably shade more towards Minnesota here, but fantasy-wise, I'm looking at Aaron Jones today. I think Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, because he's playing the Packers. I'm getting confused there. Aaron Jones against Green Bay. Green Bay's defense is very suspect. They've allowed a ton of yards, a ton of points to running back so far this year. I'm looking at Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor. They've had monster games against the Packers defense. On the other side, Josh Jacobs, though, I'm shying away from him. He's off to a very, very slow start so far this year. So, and by the way, Detroit-Chicago, I forgot to give fantasy advice for that one. I'm sitting DeAndre Swift. I think you would probably be doing that already if you had him on your team. You know what he's off to an absolutely brutal start. He's averaging only 1.8 yards a carry this year, which is and only 6 points in fantasy. So that's terrible. So kind of a no-brainer, but sit DeAndre Swift. Like I said in this game, start Aaron Jones. I would maybe sit Josh Jacobs at this point until you can see, what he's got going on. There's issues there. I don't know. The new team, you think with that offense he'd be kind of lightening up, but struggling so far. Next game here, we got Denver taking on the Jets. 8-point favorites for the Jets. 39.5 over under there. I don't like the Jets to cover 8 points. I know they had a really good game last week. I'm actually going to take Denver with the points here. Not that I believe in Denver in any which way at all. I think Bo Nix is really going to struggle today. The Jets secondary is fantastic. Their defense is pretty good. Aaron Rodgers seems to be coming around a little bit. Maybe he scores enough points to keep Denver at bay, which I think he will. But that tricky 8 points, if it was 6, you'd be like, okay, you got to watch out for that stuff, man. Vegas knows what they're doing. And maybe in this case, they know what they're doing where I'm going to Denver and the Jets blow them out. That's just the way I'm going to say it right off the bat. Straight up, I've been terrible this year. With spreads, I've been a lot better. Like the picks I've been making on the show here, I've had a lot more success. Straight up, I've been horrible this year. The worst I've probably ever been. It's crazy because this NFL season has been absolutely nuts. The way things have gone, the unpredictability, the parity, and it's awesome because that's what the NFL is like. That's why it's the best overall league in sports because you just never know every week. But anyway, for this game, I'm going Denver on the points. I would be weary of Allen Lazard. I know he's off to a really good start so far this season. The thing with Lazard, Denver has only allowed 83 yards per game against wide receivers. And Lazard is streaky as he is. I mean, he's pretty much, I'm not going to say he's touchdown or bust, but he teeters on that. So I would watch Lazard this week. And then Javonte Williams, he's absolutely unstartable at this point this year. I'm staying away from him in every single format. There's no way I'm starting him against the Jets defense either. So that's your fantasy advice for that. And then we got the Eagles taking on Tampa Bay. You could probably tell the way I said that how I feel about this. I think I could speak for everybody in Philadelphia that I'm a bit worried about this game. Just because I don't know who Jalen Hurts is going to throw to. Dallas Goedert had a monster game last week. Is he going to repeat that again 2 weeks in a row, have monster games for him? I mean, look, he has to, right? For them to win, he almost has to because Jahan Dotson is like 106th in the league in separation on routes. He's not getting open. Wilson, he has 2 catches on his career. He's been pretty much invisible on the field. It's got to be the Goddard and Saquon show. Tampa Bay's run defense is not good. So that to me is the recipe for the win for the Eagles. Will they win? I mean, 1 point and 42.5 over is the line there. So basically it's a pick 'em. And I don't feel good about this game. I don't think that Tampa Bay is a better team than the Eagles. I think today they will be. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay on this one. Hey, Mark, what's going on, man? Thanks for checking in, brother. So yeah, I'm going to go Tampa Bay on this one. We had our show on Friday, Corner Pup Sports Show, every Friday night, 8:15, on our pages, our Facebook and YouTube pages. So we were pretty much split on that, this game. So hate to say it. Yeah, I'm still going to root for them. Obviously I'm wearing their stuff, right? But, I just don't feel good about this game. We got a new intro here. Selby Sizzlers. I'm giving you 3 games that I absolutely love that I'm going to put money down on. The first Selby Sizzler of the day. Pittsburgh, -2, taking on Indy in Indianapolis. Over-under is 40. I love Pittsburgh in this game. Indianapolis is struggling beyond belief right now. Anthony Richardson, I don't know what's going on with him. It's sophomore jinx. I don't know. He's really struggling to find his way so far this season. And because of that, I'm sitting Michael Pittman Jr. right now. Pittsburgh has the best pass rush in the NFL. Richardson's probably going to struggle against that. TJ Watt is off to an enormous start right now. 6.5 sacks, I think, already in 3 games. That's disgusting. So I could see that continuing. The Colts offensive line's not that great. I just see Pittsburgh's defense dominating this game. The 40 over under, I kind of like the under on that too. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Maybe like a 17-14 game, something like that. But with that being said, I said 17-14, which means I like Pittsburgh to cover the 2 points. That seems low to me. I know Indianapolis is home, but I like that one. Also, I would, despite that, I would low score. I would start George Pickens today. He is a hot and cold type of receiver right now, but Indy is 31st in the league against the run, so you think they're going to run all day. Well, guess what? They're also 6th worst against wide receivers against the pass. So I like George Pickens today. I think Pittsburgh can move the ball up and down the field against them a little bit, and I think that's my pick there. And then the second Selby Sizzler today, we're going the Saints and the Falcons. Falcons -3, over under 41. I'm going the Saints. Since we've been doing the show, I just cannot understand why Atlanta keeps getting this favoritism. They're not that good of a team. They're still trying to find their way. The Saints had a bad week last week. The Eagles defense showed up and just shut them down. It was awesome. It was awesome to see. I don't think that's going to happen again this week. To me, Atlanta is just this team that they're like a darling for some reason. I just don't quite get it. Bijan Robinson hasn't broken out like everyone expected him to. I just don't get it. Let me see comments here. I'm ready. I'm ready for brunch. Give me a couple of Selby Sizzlers. There you go. Sizzlers is the catch up. Hot take. TJ Watt gets the Colts. Oh, gets hurt. Oh, Colts light him up. Dude, come on. You can't wish injury on somebody. Come on. What kind of hot take is that? It's not a hot take. You're wishing for injury. What the hell, dude? I'm going to Saints here. And then for fantasy advice, Drake London. So he's going to be matched up against Marshawn Lattimore. Only a little bit of the game. Lattimore plays on the right side a lot. Drake London lines up on the right side only 35% of the time. So more than half of the game, he's going to be lined up against somebody else if that sticks to that way, that trend. And also Darryl Mooney could be a sneaky play as well in this game. So Atlanta, will be able to move the ball against them a little bit. The Saints defense, did bend and didn't completely break last week, but they showed that they can be had. So I do like the receivers for Atlanta today. I just think the Saints are going to be too much for them to handle offensively. And then the final Selby Sizzler today, we got the Bengals and Carolina. Bengals -4.5. Carolina at home, it's 47.5 over under. Cincinnati lost last week. Their defense looked like Swiss cheese. I don't know what happened there. It's I don't know. Cincinnati's supposed to be a better team than this. The fact that they did come back last week is a good signing. They did against Washington. I like Cincinnati today as well. I think they're starting to find their way a little bit. They're starting to heat up, especially Jamar Chase. He finally got going last week. He sat out all training camps, so now his preseason's over. They're starting to get going offensively. They're going to be way too much for Carolina. I know Carolina, and I was all over Carolina last week. I liked Carolina last week to cover in that game. I didn't think they were going to win, but man, they shocked everybody with that game last week. But that whole thing that happened last week, they're high off of it. Cincinnati beats them down to earth today. 4.5. Yeah, I think Cincinnati wins by like 6 or 7 today. So that's my final sizzler of the afternoon today. But fantasy matchup: Zach Moss against the Panthers defense. Zach Moss has been awesome this year, especially against bad teams. So I'm definitely starting him. And then Chuba Hubbard, I actually picked him up in one league. He's had a better matchup. He had a better matchup last week when he took on Oakland than what he's going to be facing today. But he still has a lot of potential. He had 27 points last week. He's probably the guy right now. Jonathan Brooks is taking a back seat there. So I would start Chuba Hubbard if you have him. It could be a sneaky play there. All right, back to other games here. We got Jacksonville and Houston. Houston is favored by 6 at home. And it's over under at 44.5. There's no Tank Dell in this game. I don't think it matters. Jacksonville has major issues going on there. There are talks about quarterback changes. Doug Peterson's defending his decisions. It's a mess there right now. They played horrible last week. I don't know what happened to that team either. Travis Etienne's been pretty much an invisible man this year so far. So I like Houston in this game. It's not like Houston's been world beaters either. they've struggled to find their way offensively this year. This could be the ultimate get-right game for them, taking on a Jacksonville team that's struggling, big time. So I like Houston in this game. I say they win definitely by more than 6. Like I said, no Tank Dell. So Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs are probably going to shine in this game, honestly. So I would go Houston there today. Next game we have is Washington taking on Arizona. Washington is road underdogs, 3.5 points. Over under is 49. Washington looked like a new team last week. Granted, Cincinnati's defense was horrendous, but Jaden Daniels had a fantastic game last week. I can see that continuing. It's not like, Arizona's defense can be had. It's already been shown this year. So I would say that Washington is going to probably continue what they did last week. I don't see it any other way. Brian Robinson Jr. is a big play today. Arizona's defense allows the most points to running backs while playing at home. Let me say that again. Arizona, while playing at home, allows the most points, fantasy points, to opposing running backs. That's insane. Like, you think that would be the advantage the other way. Brian Robinson Jr. is going to have a day today. Good question here. Jaden Daniels or Baker Mayfield? Ooh, man. So I have a question. So I fought with that today, too. I had Baker Mayfield and Jordan Love. I'm going with Jordan Love today. Just comeback story, and Green Bay's defense is Green Bay's offense is just that good. I think, they'll overcome that. That's a good one. I'm going to probably I'm probably going to go Jaden Daniels. Because if the Eagles defense found something last week and it's real, which it very well could be, Baker's probably going to struggle today. Because the Eagles secondary is good. Those are tough matchups for those receivers. So I'm going to go Jaden Daniels there. And then we got another one, Tyler. Hey, what's up, brother? So Tyler wants to know Brandon Ayuk or Amari Cooper. So Cleveland today is taking on Oakland. And San Fran has New England. I hate Ayuk. I hate Ayuk this year. I don't know what the hell's going on there. And Debo's coming back. I'm going to go Amari Cooper. And I was all over Amari Cooper last week. I loved him last week. He had a monster game, 2 touchdowns. I'm going Amari Cooper. Until Brandon Ayuk breaks out, I'm not starting him. There's no way. All right, let's get back to the games. I'll come back to the questions in a second here. So the next game here we have the game we just talked about, New England and San Francisco. That is New England to cover. I'm 10.5 points for a team that no Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle might be coming back. The last thing I saw was he was still up in the air. That was about an hour ago I saw. It sounds like he's probably playing though. Like I said, Brandon Ayuk's struggling. New England's defense is good. 10.5 points to an offense that's not really putting up points right now, in the way that you're used to. Against a defense that's pretty good, 10.5 just seems too much. San Fran will win this game. I just can't see it being by double digits. They're both playing sloppy. I just don't see it. 40.5 sounds about right. Probably a lower scoring game. Like I just said, Sid Ayuk playing against Christian Gonzalez as well. All right, so Christian Gonzalez is a shutdown corner in this league. But will Jawan Jennings have another strong game? With Debo coming back and probably on a pitch count, honestly, I'm going to say yes. I think Jawan Jennings made a name for himself a little bit last week. He'll have a decent game, not like what he did last week, not 3 touchdowns, but I think you're going to see another strong game from him today, especially because New England's going to be focusing on Debo and Ayuk, despite the fact that Jennings had such a great game. What's this? Mark said, oh, Facebook just hates you all. Oh, here we go. Scroll through a different feed and you can see my comments. Thanks, Facebook. Oh, great. Yeah, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Facebook's kind of tricky. YouTube's really good. The Heat Ratio and the Corner Puff Sports YouTubes, you can see everything. I can see everything here. I don't get it. Facebook's a joke. All right, and then the other game we talked about a second ago, Amari Cooper and his Browns are 2.5 point favorites on the road. One of the few road favorites this week, taking on Oakland. Over under is 36. I like Cleveland in this game. No, I don't love Cleveland, but I think I think what's going on with Oakland is enough for me to pick Cleveland here, and because no Devontae Adams, no Max Crosby, they're both out, so that's big. That's huge. Even though Max Crosby's out, I'm still not starting Jerome. I'm trying not to start Jerome Ford this week. Jerome Ford hasn't had a great season so far this year, not like last year where he came out of nowhere and just lit it up. He's struggling this year. I think, like I said a couple minutes ago to Tyler and his question there, I definitely think that Amari Cooper is going to have a heck of a game today against Oakland. So I like Cleveland there. That game was a little tough, and I gotta be honest. This week's games with the spreads and the way they're laid out, this was not an easy week to pick. This was one of the more difficult weeks so far this year, which could be good news because I've struggled a little bit. Next game here we got Kansas City road. They're another road favorite, 7 points at the Chargers. Justin Herbert is playing in this game, 40.5. It is a division game. I know the Chargers are not a very good team, but the Chiefs have not been this juggernaut that we're used to seeing either. They struggled last week a little bit against Atlanta. Atlanta had a chance to win that game. I'm going to go with the Chargers to cover, not to win, to cover with the points. 7. It's a division game. These teams know each other well. They play each other tough. I can see it being a 4-point game, something like that. Here we go. Let me see. Mike says, I was going to go Cleveland, but those are 2 big injuries. Even if Devontae Adams isn't doing much. Yeah, that's too much. And 7 points is a lot for a road team, even if it's the Chiefs. 100%. I totally agree with you. And then Mike also agrees. I like the Chargers. I like the Chargers to cover. KC keeps all the games close. They really do. They haven't shown that they can blow anybody out yet. So, yeah, I feel that's pretty safe, to be honest with you. All right, we got Buffalo against Baltimore. I'm sorry. And then in the fantasy-wise, sit J.K. Dobbins in that game. Let me go back to that. Sit J.K. Dobbins against the Chiefs. He just hasn't done much this year except for the first game. And Kansas City has the 3rd fewest points to running backs, dating back to last season. So they're really, really stout against the run. That front is tough. Stay away from Dobbins this week. All right, next game, Buffalo, Baltimore. Baltimore 2.5-point favorites at home, 46.5. I like Buffalo. I'm not a believer that Baltimore all of a sudden figured it out. The end of that game last week against Dallas was embarrassing. They almost blew that game. They were up 26-6 or 28-6 or something in the fourth quarter. They almost lost that game. I don't think they figured anything out in Baltimore. I just think Dallas isn't all that good. That's why they were able to put some points on them. Buffalo, to me, looks like they're starting to get their engines going. And with that, Shakir, he leads Buffalo in receptions, targets, yards, touchdowns, 2, but still, he leads the team. Shakir is definitely a start right now. I mean, he's Josh Allen's go-to guy right now. So I would absolutely go with Buffalo and Shakir in this game. Definitely to cover. I mean, 2.5, that's not much. That's a Buffalo line because Baltimore should be home favorite at 3, right? So they like Buffalo as well. Sunday Night Football. We got 2 matchups left here. And I'll get some questions here. Sunday Night Football, Tennessee and Miami. Miami home favorites, 1.5. Tyler Huntley gets the start for the Dolphins. Picked up off the street. He was collecting trash or something. I don't know what was going on there. But yeah, Tyler Huntley back in the league, back in the game, playing with the Dolphins, going against a pretty, actually, believe it or not, a pretty decent Tennessee pass defense. I was surprised to read this when I was doing my research for the show today. But this is a really tough one. I'm still going to go Miami because Tennessee they look lost. They really do. They just don't know. They're sticking with Levis. I mean, they've said we're committed to sticking with Levis for the year. I think it's a mistake. I think he's been terrible this year. But then again, what else are you going to do? What are your other options? This is a really tough game, but I'm just going to go Miami because I think A-Chain can have his way. They still have Tyreek Hill on this team. They still have Waddle. There's still targets on this team. it's going to be an ugly game, and it's probably a game I'm not going to watch tonight. But I'm going to go Miami just to sneak that out. Fantasy wise, Tony Pollard, I've been kind of up and down on him this year, like a bad hooker. But I'm going to say, he had a bad week last week, but Tennessee was down the whole game. Miami is a bottom 5 team against running backs. So I like Pollard. Pollard has been productive this year in the good weeks. He's been really productive. So I do like Tony Pollard. Despite what I said, I am going to sit Jalen Waddle if I have a better option. Unfortunately, in the one league I'm in, I do not have a better option because, Keenan Allen is back, but I ain't starting him. Tennessee has yet to allow a touchdown to a wide receiver this season. And I would be really, really surprised if Waddle's the first one to do so. And I just don't see that happening. So Miami, start Pollard, sit Waddle. And then the last game, and I'll get to some of your comments here. Last game's Monday Night Football, Seattle and Detroit. Detroit is 3.5-point favorites, 46.5 over under. Hopefully no one gets shot since the last game at Detroit because I'm picking Seattle. Detroit's another one. Like they look like they're starting to figure it out a little bit, but Seattle to me, like, it's a pretty solid team. They look like they could be like a 10-win team this year. I like Smith and Njigba today. He only had 3 targets last week, but Detroit allows the most points to slot receivers, and that seems like a good matchup for him. This again isn't a confident pick for me, but I do kind of think that Seattle's at the very least going to cover those 3.5 points. So that's your slate. Let's get to some of the questions here. That game is so Scholar Thompson. Yeah, so Thompson got hurt. He's emergency quarterback for Miami. Tyler Huntley is starting there. That game is absolute trash. And then Mike says Levis is going to throw another bad pick today, most likely. We got Ryan here saying Titans have played well. Levis just keeps making boneheaded decisions. He really has. And like I said, that defense is pretty decent there in Tennessee. Although they were pretty good, they were pretty good last year too defensively. It's just that offense just can't find their way. And that's really surprising because you look at that core, you have, Ridley and Boyd and Pollard, and like, how are you messing this up? So I don't know how they're going to keep sticking with this guy. Mike wants to know, wouldn't that be a good hooker? Well, it depends. Depends on the day. The lines will go off. Detroit, not so sure. They do. Something's just awry there. Dan Campbell's got to get that team back on track. I don't quite know what's happening there in Detroit. They don't have that magic that they had last year. And again, they're another team that's everyone's darling, right? I mean, and deservedly so. They were really good last year. They were close to getting to the Super Bowl. They just couldn't get over that hump, and now so far it seems like it's kind of lingering with them right now. They just seem to be able to not be able to get over that extra step there. All right, so that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Dude, it's amazing how like every week I've been like on that half-hour mark almost every time. Just to recap: Selby Sizzlers, Pittsburgh over Indy, the Saints over the Falcons, and the Bengals over Carolina. I like all 3, and got to say, by the time this show is on next week, this will be out. No one likes this, but we do care. My first book will be arriving on Amazon. Right now, you can get the Kindle, pre-order it, but the hardcover and paperback books will be available on Friday on Amazon. I cannot wait for this to finally get out. It's been a long journey. I'm excited. So go check it out. Please support it. And let's see, Sizzlers hit the spot. Well, you're welcome. Joe said, for a career, McNabb had less weapons. Hurts should be able to manage one game with a better tight end and better running back. Joe has a very good point there. He very much should. I mean, he, especially against Tampa Bay, who is a defense that very, very well could be had. Mike said never this bad. Yeah, that might be true. Like James Trash and Todd Pinkston, at least were. I mean, they were below average, but these guys so far, Dotson has been invisible, and Wilson. Am I saying Wilson? Why keep thinking Wilson? I guess it's Wilson, right? He's been nothing. So let me see. We got buy the book, do it, and great breakfast. All right, guys. So that's the show. I hope you guys enjoy it, and even more so, I hope you guys enjoy the games today. And I'm just going to end it with saying, "Go Birds, baby!" See you.